Lois Griffin has survived 20 seasons with her pea-brained husband Peter, who treats their marriage like one of his cutaway gigs. From almost robbing her father to straight up shooting her, here are 10 moments when Lois should have definitely called her lawyer. Starting off our list, we got the episode Death Lives, where Peter decides that there's more important things in life than celebrating your own wedding anniversary, and those things involve trying to shoot some balls in some holes. Golf. I meant golf. In the beginning of the episode, Lois confesses to the children that all she wants is a small anniversary gesture. You know, a thoughtful gift. Maybe a romantic evening. But Peter? Step 1 of anniversary etiquette, remembering the actual date, is already too much for him, forcing him to get really desperate in getting last-minute gifts.
My goodness, a human thumb. Where did you ever find this?
It was on eBay.
Ah, yes. Just what every wife needs. Move away, Etsy. Your local morgue is here to rule the gift market now. Peter decides to golf anyway, even if that means risking a frying pan ambush from Lois. But fear not. He's got his trusty anti-frying pan potion. Just don't ask about the efficacy of this potion because it does not look safe at all, ingredients-wise. And the result of the brilliant potion?
All right, hit me with this. Didn't work.
Back at the house, Peter already has the perfect distraction for Lois ready, a scavenger hunt through Quahog that'll keep her occupied while he's out golfing with the boys. I'm still not sure how she believed the note, even though he's literally the guy who can't even read a sentence. Rain decides to ruin Peter's evening, but he's not deterred, not even when lightning strikes a tree next to him, and he decides the best course of action is to do whatever this is.
That was close. That looks dangerous. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
He's surprisingly not crushed under the tree, but his luck soon runs out as he finds out why you shouldn't be standing next to a tree in a thunderstorm.
You again?
Not dead, but close. Death tells Peter he's not quite finished on Earth, but in 2 years? Might be. With divorce papers waiting for him at the pearly gates. Peter's unfazed. He's still convinced Lois is sticking around no matter how many anniversaries he misses.
So when am I gonna die?
About 2 years after your wife divorces you.
The hell are you talking about? Lois would never leave me.
Sure, Peter. Keep thinking that. Peter decides he doesn't have time to deal with this and tries to do things his way.
Out of hell with this. I'm going home.
What are you doing? You can't get in that way.
Death reveals that in order for Peter to go back into his body, he'd have to have a revelation instead of trying to fit himself through every hole in his body. And so they're off to an adventure through Peter's life as he tries to find meaning or whatever. Half of the time, I can't even make sense of these episodes, man. And Lois? She's having an adventure of her own, one that has her crawling through Quahog's sewers as she follows Peter's scavenger hunt. Oh, not sure what treasures you're expecting down there, Lois. Also, it turns out they're not alone down there.
Mom, you remember that goldfish we flushed down the toilet? He wasn't dead.
Note to self, do not flush any fishes or alligators down your toilet. The last stop on her scavenger hunt is back at the mini-mart where she meets Cleveland and Loretta, who did not hesitate to spill the beans at all, and that's all Lois needed to blow a fuse, and I mean it. Lois is livid. Never get between a woman and her anniversary plans, unless you have a death wish, which in Peter's case may already be true.
Damn, how could he lie to me on our anniversary?
Lois has just one thing going through her mind, and that's figuring out who is going to keep the kids, and knowing Peter, we all know the answer. Just as she's about to lay it thick on Peter, he gets saved by none other than Peter Frampton playing their song, which is all Lois needs to calm down and stop thinking about ways to kill Peter with the nearest golf club.
Oh, Peter, our song.
Happy anniversary, Lois.
And that brings us to the question of what Peter's revelation was, which, as you might have guessed, was the obvious. I should pay more attention to my wife trope, because clearly his marriage is a dumpster fire. If a missed anniversary is all it takes, Lois, to consider dumping him.
Holy crap. Back then, I gave up $1 million just to be with Lois. Now I won't even miss a lousy golf game to spend our anniversary together. No wonder she's gonna dump me.
Next up is that episode where Peter finds out he really is special in the brains department, which isn't really surprising considering everything we've seen so far. This does not stop him from using his newfound status as an idiot to be a jerk to Lois, who puts up with it instead of calling it quits, like any sane person would. This episode begins with Peter and his friends having a game night that involves fun board games and guns with live ammo. I repeat, they're using guns with live ammo. How is Joe even okay with this?
Well, we could use these. I brought them from the office.
The most responsible cop in Quahog, ladies and gentlemen. They switch to trivia next, where Lois has to use preschool-level cards just to give Peter a fighting chance. Let's be honest, it's shocking this guy hasn't been taken out by natural selection yet.
Okay, Peter, this is for the win. Say the word, what?
Wow. Okay. This really separates the men from the boys.
Somehow, Peter manages to squeak out, what, for a win? Yay, Peter? Naturally, this goes straight to his head, and he starts prancing around like Einstein in a Hawaiian shirt, even though his recent win was identifying the color of a fire truck. Brian sums up what we're all thinking.
You ever stop and think, wow, I'm married to that guy?
Nah, I just repress it.
Healthy coping strategy, Lois. Repression. What could possibly go wrong?
I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor.
Okay, a lot of things can go wrong. Save yourself, Lois. Now, Brian finally has enough of Peter's genius complex and dares him to take a real IQ test. After some questionable studying tactics, like using a toddler's toy as a study guide, Peter takes the test and gets his results back. Brian can barely contain his glee, finally getting to say, "I told you so," with enough sass to vaporize Peter's confidence.
You know, Peter, I hate to say I told you so about not being a genius, but, yeah! In your face!
And then, because this is Quahog, everyone suddenly knows Peter's IQ score, which makes him the town's official village idiot. It all comes to a head when Peter, driving as carefully as a toddler in a bumper car, accidentally hits Tom Tucker. But Tom's more concerned with the fact that Peter's, well, special. Apparently in Quahog, that gets you a free pass on literally anything.
Wait a minute. You're Peter Griffin, the retarded fellow.
Yeah?
Oh, well, then don't worry about it.
Wait a minute, you mean you're not even gonna call the cops? Oh my God! I could get away with anything!
This whole fiasco gives Peter the idea that he can get away with anything. And I cannot emphasize any more on the anything part, because this guy is on a whole new level now.
Sorry, retarded.
Oh, that's okay then.
Lois, understandably, isn't thrilled and tries to talk some sense into him, but he's too busy raiding the friolator. And when he's done, Lois basically gets baptized in boiling oil. Talk about a flame-broiled marriage.
The friolator. Oh, I am so taking this.
Lois ends up becoming a victim of his antics as Peter's newfound obsession with the friolator gives her a baptism of fire. After practically turning his wife into a mummy, Peter gets a visit from a CPS agent who has to break the news we've all been expecting for 3 seasons now.
Hi, I'm Agent Jessup from Child Services. I'm here to take your kids away.
What? Why?
Because you're mentally unfit to take care of them.
No way!
Finally!
On second thought, knowing Quahog, they'd probably just end up in Quagmire's care, which, let's be honest, is no upgrade.
Oh, that's awesome!
Damn it, you guys are boring the crap out of me! Stupid, mindless chatter is what it is.
Fast forward, and Peter has to face Agent Jessup in court about the custody of his kids, who are probably better off than sticking with the guy who came up with the worst plan ever to frame Cleveland.
Oh my Lord, look who's here. Agent Jessup, look at all these prostitutes.
Fast forward to the courtroom showdown, where Peter's brilliant plan to keep his kids involves bringing in an invisible witness who never lies. Nice one, Peter. Unfortunately, the judge isn't buying it and even hints at putting Peter in a place where he's removed from the public, as if he's never heard of, prison.
Are you kidding? You're a monster. In fact, if I could, I would put you in a place where you would be removed from the general public.
A judge who does not know what a prison is? Quahog really is a strange place. After this chaotic court drama, Peter's expecting that he and Lois are officially over. But nope, Lois comes back to him smelling like french fries and apparently ready for more shenanigans. This woman has the patience of a saint, or a serious case of memory loss.
And the doctor to say I'll smell like French fries for the next 6 months.
I'll enjoy that.
At number 8 is the episode where Peter's impeccable parenting skills make yet another dazzling appearance. Lois, for some reason, decides to trust Peter to babysit Stewie while she's out with Bonnie at the gun range. After getting invited to a gun range visit with Bonnie, whose favorite target practice image is strangely that of a paraplegic man, Lois gives the job of babysitting Stewie to the guy who can barely take care of himself.
I think next time you should bring someone else.
Honestly, Lois might need to rethink a lot more than her gun buddy. And Joe? Yeah, he should probably be looking for a divorce attorney at this point too. And Peter takes Stewie out to the park, where it takes him just 5 minutes to start looking for a way out. And when Quagmire calls him with some really exciting news, he just cannot stop himself from sneaking out.
Hello?
Peter, where the hell are you? You gotta get down to the clam, man. There's like 60 clowns in here.
So, Peter takes Stewie to the park, but after about 5 minutes, he's itching to leave. And then, Quagmire calls with the most irresistible invitation ever. There are 60 clowns down at the Drunken Clam. 60 clowns? You'd have to chain Peter down to keep him from bolting. He even reassures himself that he's technically still watching Stewie. A+ parenting, Peter.
Daddy can still see you.
While Peter's out partying, Lois calls to check in, and Joe has to step up with his best Stewie impression. And somehow, it works. Yeah, Lois doesn't catch on, making you wonder if there's something wrong with her hearing.
Hey, Lois, it's me, the baby.
Hi, Stewie. I'm on my way home. Mommy misses you.
Peter starts panicking and runs back to the playground to grab Stewie. He does grab a bald kid, just not Stewie, but another random baby who conveniently looks like Stewie. Peter doesn't realize that though, not until he reaches home and discovers that maybe he should have gone for the kid with the giant football-looking head instead of a normal-sized one. But Peter's not giving up now. He just needs a kid. Any bald kid can be Stewie, right?
All right, kid, your name is Stewie, all right? I'm your new dad. My name is Peter, and I work at the brewer... NASA. I work at NASA.
Lois comes back home and discovers that her baby is in fact not her baby. And through some unexplained miracle, the couple who exchanged kids with them find their home and bring Stewie back. Finally, at her breaking point and enraged over Peter being so irresponsible, Lois gets mad at Peter and calls him an idiot. But honestly, the guy literally had his eye looking after Stewie. Maybe he's not that irresponsible after all.
Peter, I have put up with your nonsense for 20 years, but today you crossed a line. You left a helpless baby in a public park, and that's something only an idiot would do.
Peter may be an idiot, but getting called one is not something he ever planned for. And after confiding about it to his friends at the Clam, he finally gets a revelation. He has to travel the world and learn about different things to broaden his horizon, which is supposed to help in some way. Sounds like he's just looking for an excuse to cause more mayhem. Oh, and let me just say, Peter needs new friends because, damn, these guys are not the best when it comes to consoling.
I hate to sound like every woman ever, but I'm depressed.
Don't engage.
Why?
Damn it!
Somehow, Peter manages to score an all-expenses-paid job delivering tubes across America, which honestly sounds like a career jackpot. Before you know it, Peter's acting like he's the new Carl Sagan from Boston, spouting off deep-sounding nonsense.
Peter, you seem different.
That's right, Lois. I live the life of the mind now. My brain is awash with theorems and profundity and abstractions that I can pontificate upon at length.
Just hearing Peter say all those words feels like the most unnatural thing in the universe. Watching Peter say words longer than 2 syllables? Terrifying. And unsurprisingly, his enlightenment alienates everyone, especially when he replaces the family's TV with a bookshelf.
How about Game of Thrones?
Instead, I shall read to you from Game of Thrones.
Pretty soon, Peter's forcing his intellect on the family, trying to expand their vocabulary and changing their outlandish ways. Brian, as always, tries to act like he was the brains of the family all along, but you're not fooling anyone, Brian.
Oh, that should be easy. Just give me the word and I'll put it in a sentence for you.
Anodyne.
A friend asked me what anodyne means.
Eventually, Lois cracks. She sneaks a TV into the house and admits to Brian that Peter's new brainy persona is a lot to handle. So they plot to get him back to his regular lovable goofball self by sending him to the least intellectual place in America, Tucson. And Tucson does not disappoint.
Aloha!
And if you're wondering if it helped, well...
Heads up, guys. I farted on the doorstep, but it's hot on my trail.
And thus, Lois once again puts the divorce papers back in the drawer. For now, coming in at number 7, we have the episode where Peter and his pals decide to pull off an elaborate heist. The target? None other than Quahog's resident Scrooge McDuck, Lois's dad, Carter Pewterschmidt. Peter's logic? If you're gonna rob someone, might as well keep it in the family. Not a bad plan, honestly. This particular episode has Bonnie giving birth in the presence of the least capable man around, who is none other than Peter. Why is he there instead of Joe? Don't ask me.
And I'm gonna turn on 2.5 men. If your baby isn't totally brain dead, it'll come rushing out to change a channel. And when he does, I'll grab his hand and yank him out of there.
Luckily, Bonnie's smarter than Peter and heads to the hospital, where Dr. Hartman delivers the good news. Joe's now a father to a baby girl. Oh, and also the proud owner of a bill so huge it drains their savings. Welcome to parenthood, Joe.
The baby's hospital bill drained all our savings, so I've had no choice but to take this job. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Conveniently, a loan shark is right next to them and can't help but offer his services, which Joe isn't really sure about. Peter? Oh, he's more than convinced that this is the person with all the answers.
You should listen to this guy, Joe. He's flipping a nickel and chewing on a toothpick.
Well, I do really need the money.
Yeah. Now Joe somehow owes $20,000, more than he already did. I'm not sure how they even managed to do that, but they find ways, man. They always do. Not to worry though, as Peter and the boys are already on the case looking for ways to come up with the money for Joe, and they're going all out in the creativity department, even going so far as to offer exotic massages, which aren't really selling well by the looks of it.
Oh yeah, just what I need, to be rubbed down by a big fatty, an old black guy, a cripple, and a pervert.
Jeez, lady, you didn't have to murder them. Out of options and ideas, Peter decides to call in a favor from Lois's dad, and Carter does not seem like he's open to help them out. And oh boy, does he make that very clear.
Of course I could. But it's funnier to me if I don't.
Infuriated and feeling betrayed, Peter doesn't back down. No way. He's gonna get that money off of Carter, one way or the other. And they soon get to work planning a heist while Carter hosts a ball for millionaires. Just the kind of people Peter wants to steal from.
All right, look, I'll be honest with you. My father-in-law has treated me like crap for almost 20 years, and it's time for a little payback.
So, while Carter's busy hosting a lavish ball for Quahog's millionaire elite, Peter and the gang are planning a full-scale infiltration of the Pewterschmidt vault. Lois catches wind of this thanks to Brian, who wastes 0 time spilling the beans. And Lois is not shocked at all. 20 years with the guy has trained her for anything.
Brian, do you know where Peter is?
Yeah, he and the guys went to go rob your dad.
I believe you.
Lois races to stop the heist before Carter finds out and turns them all into a lifetime special. In the end, she manages to negotiate with her dad, telling him she needs the $20,000 for a divorce lawyer. Carter predictably hands it over.
How the hell did you get your dad to give him that 20 grand?
I told him it was for me. I said I wanted to hire a divorce lawyer.
Peter, hearing this, is left just a bit concerned, and honestly, he probably should be. Moving on to our 6th moment is the episode where Peter decides he needs to transform Lois into a whole new species. And by that, I mean he wants her to become the next Nikocado Avocado. Apparently, Peter thinks his marriage needs a feeder relationship. The madness begins with a pregnancy scare when Lois asks Peter to get her a pregnancy test. Peter responds with,
"Hey Lois, I got your pregnancy test. What the hell you need this for?"
What does this guy think a pregnancy test is for? Well, the test comes back negative, and Peter thinks the most logical next step is forcing Lois to get a body-altering surgery instead of himself. That should have been the first red flag for Lois, to be honest.
Peter, we can't risk these things anymore.
You're absolutely right. Lois, you're getting your tubes tied.
Lois absolutely refuses to do it, forcing Peter to go for the next best thing, getting a vasectomy, which his friends make up to be a big achievement. But when it's their turn to consider the idea, yeah, not happening.
A bunch of the guys on the force have had vasectomies, and their lives haven't changed at all.
Would you ever have one?
Never!
Just to be safe, Peter decides to have his sperm frozen in case they ever plan on bringing another evil genius baby into the world. The freezing part, however, does not go as well, especially since the nurse puts Peter next to the entire progeny of Quahog, and she expected nothing bad to come out of it? How naive.
Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God! Yeah!
Well, there goes an entire generation. Pretty soon, getting a vasectomy starts having an effect on their love life as Peter loses all interest in Lois. She doesn't appreciate it one bit and turns to the universal comfort, food. She's devouring everything in sight, and Peter starts making her weight gain the centerpiece of his life, even though he's the size of 2 Loises stacked together.
You know, at first I didn't want to do it because of the vasectomy, but now it's just... I mean, look at her. She's got elbow cleavage.
Now that Lois is fat, Peter can't stop bringing it up literally everywhere and embarrassing her, as if he isn't twice her weight himself, but hey, he says it himself.
Lois, men aren't fat. Only fat women are fat. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go warn the chef that you've arrived.
Guess that seals the deal then. Their marriage is strained under the immense combined weight of the 2 giants until one random night when a spark returns to their marriage, and all because of Lois's weight. It seems the Hogzilla has revived her marriage successfully.
Oh, hey, Hogzilla, you happen to see my hot wife Lois around?
Oh, Peter isn't satisfied yet, though. No way. He wants more. He's going to get it even if it means force-feeding his wife until her arteries are more clogged than Diddy's sewage pipes.
Hey, I'm not even hungry.
I want you bigger. I want you fatter. It will please me.
Well, it's just one more of those nights for the 2 blobs of pure fat, when Lois realizes that maybe what she's feeling isn't something you're supposed to normally. I mean, if you weigh more than a rhino and your heart even flinches a little, you should be hauling ass to the hospital, which she does eventually.
We should get you to the hospital. All right, hold on a sec. All right, almost done.
Lois gets a surgery to remove every bit of fat from her body. And is Peter relieved that his wife is back? Not really. The guy has a new obsession, and it's way messed up. Lois should definitely be getting a divorce after this near-death experience.
Oh, it's right here in this storage closet.
It's exactly what it looks like.
Lois, if this doesn't make you call a divorce lawyer, I don't know what will. Sitting at our number 5 spot is an episode from season 2, where all kinds of plagues descend upon the family because the fat guy, aka Peter, decided his favorite show was worth reviving over his family's safety. It all begins when Peter and Chris sit down one day to enjoy Gumbles to Gumbles. While a ridiculous name for a show, but moving on. They're hit with the ghastly news that it's apparently canceled, and Peter is not letting that slide away at all.
And if you're settling in to watch Gumble to Gumble, you're out of luck. That show has been canceled. The full story and maybe Diane's boobs tonight at 11.
Peter believes in action, and that means he'll go straight to the channel CEO if it means getting his favorite show back on the air. He doesn't even care if the personal assistant stops him, because a determined man doesn't stop at nothing, even if he probably should.
Wait, you can't go in there.
Just watch me.
No, I mean you can't go in there because that door leads nowhere.
When the channel producer clarifies that they only air the show and they can't bring it back, Peter is distraught, but not defeated. After coming across a TV ad for a Make-A-Wish Foundation that can make a dying kid's wish come true, Peter looks at Chris and knows exactly what he needs to do. And he's even got the marketing part down.
Oh, I'm telling you, Chris is dying 10 times worse than those other kids. He's got a very rare disease called tumor syphilis itis.
Sounds sexy.
Fast forward, and Chris's disease does more than bring the show back, especially since he's going around the town flaunting it everywhere, complete with a certificate as well. Chris's totally made-up disease has everyone feeling bad for him, and singing songs outside his house like it helped for some reason. And when Lois is about to find out, Peter has a way to deal with that as well.
Lois, that's ridiculous. There's nobody out there. You must be seeing things.
Yeah, you just saw him attempting to kill his wife, yet again. When the network comes to claim they're part of the deal, Lois finds out about the scam and tells Peter to tell the truth, but he could possibly face prison time for fraud. Acting out of desperation, he casually claims to have cured him and gets off the hook, which doesn't really work out. I mean, when you're claiming to have divine powers in front of television, expect an army of nutjobs to descend upon your house.
Yeah,
I assert
It's a miracle! What will you have us do, oh great healer of Quahog?
Pretty soon, Peter is running a cult in his backyard, which is turning into a religion faster than Brian can fight them off with his atheistic beliefs. Lois warns Peter that maybe playing God would, I don't know, piss off the real God, and wouldn't you know it, right then the first plague strikes, and they just keep coming until Lois has to step in before the hailing part of the plague starts coming down on the family.
Get out there and tell those people the truth. Make them stop worshiping you before it starts hailing in my house.
Even Brian is scared for his life, and he doesn't even believe in God.
You want an explanation? God is pissed.
The final plague hits home when a massive golden statue of Peter topples over, nearly taking out Chris. Realizing he's gone way too far, Peter finally confesses that he isn't God, which stops the plagues just in time. The show's back, Chris is safe, and the Griffins can go back to their regularly scheduled insanity. For our number 4th spot, we've chosen the episode where Peter abandons Lois for the most important thing in his life, food. Unhealthy enough to kill you with a single bite. And despite everything, Lois still chooses to stick around. It begins with Lois getting her tape from PBS, which Peter really isn't one bit excited about. Talk about hating your wife's taste. This guy takes it to a whole new level.
Whatever it is, we're not watching it.
Peter, trust me, you of all people could really learn something from this.
Forced to watch the tape because it's related to food, something Peter is really passionate about, it turns out to be one of those health PSAs you're supposed to skip after 5 seconds. Seriously, we get that junk food is bad for you, but these guys blow it way out of proportion.
Those are flying cars, but the people in them are too fat.
Oh no, I left my baby in there!
Lois wants the best for her family, and that means looking after their diet as well. A change that doesn't exactly stick well with Peter, even if he gives in and tries tasting the dish with the name that sounds like the title of a Korean show.
Fine.
Peter, knock it off.
The famine has Peter going crazy, and he starts sneaking out to the local gas station where you can find all sorts of food that'll have you sitting on your toilet till your legs are numb. Peter doesn't care though. He has the perfect setup for the sandwich that'll have your heart finding ways to escape from your body.
Ah, yeah. Peanut butter cup, Dorito sausage car panini. And let's crack a Cadbury egg over the whole thing. Just gonna use my spare glove compartment underwear as a napkin.
Forget the Krabby Patty. I want a bite of this sandwich. Turns out he isn't the only husband in Quahog suffering from the wrath of food kills, as Cleveland and everyone else wants a piece of his sandwich. That is all it takes for Peter to think of a new way to make money off of this opportunity.
You know, selling sandwiches from a car. Wonder how much I could make.
That's right, a food truck is just what a guy addicted to junk food needs. I don't see this ending well for Peter or his poor arteries. But before we can start selling food out of the truck, he definitely needs to get some work done on it, unless he wants half of Spooner Street blown off with him.
Because you don't let me eat what I want to eat, and I am super dizzy, and there might be a gas leak in this thing.
Lois is absolutely fuming at Peter's new business venture. It's not even the fact that he straight up went and bought a food truck without consulting her. It's the ungodly amount of unhealthy food he'll be stuffing into himself and everyone around him and killing them. But Peter has what he thinks is a pretty solid defense to her argument.
So you're saying you shouldn't take care of yourself because you might get devoured by gremlins?
To be honest, in a city where a giant chicken can roam around fighting people, gremlins sound like a genuine threat. Unable to convince Peter, Lois gives up and lets him have his way as he starts hooking people up with his insane food inventions like Diet Cola cereal, which I'm pretty sure should be banned as an offense to the human race. Lois doesn't care until she finds her kids abandoning her healthy food that she made for them and choosing Peter's food truck. That's her red line. And she decides she doesn't want Peter destroying her kids as well.
You know what? Enough of this nonsense. You love this truck so much, stay in it. Because I don't want you or your food in the house.
Peter is unfazed, though, as he makes his food truck his second home, and it's got to be the most unhealthiest place on earth. Because this guy is straight up living the life of a mukbang influencer out there.
All right, time time to greet the day.
It all comes crashing down for Peter when he finds himself stuck inside his own food truck, which is something he should have planned for before he started gorging himself on anything he came across in his truck. They eventually have to hoist him out of the truck, which is just what every wife wants to see, right?
Yeah, it's every girl's dream to have a husband hoisted out of a food truck in a horse harness.
They eventually make up, but not before Peter gets a humiliating shower at the same time as a Bing car decides to run right by their house. Coincidence? I think not. Ever thought what the Griffins would act like if they were Jewish? Well, Family Guy gives us just that when Lois discovers that she's actually Jewish, a fact that's hard to swallow for Peter, who suddenly discovers his own anti-Semitic inner self. It all starts when Lois gets a lump on her chest, and no, it's not her boob like Peter thought. It's probably something way more serious.
What? Oh my God. Peter, that's not a boob. That's a lump.
They rush to the hospital where Dr. Hartman gives them the good news that it's not the most casually named disease in the entire medical dictionary.
Mrs. Griffin, I've got good news. Your test results came back negative. It appears the lump in your breast is not black, gross boob death.
But he has more than just that. Lois's file reveals that she was Jewish all along, something that her mother had kept from her. But seriously, if she couldn't guess it from her grandmother's name, the blame lies all on Lois.
Yes, when she moved to America, her family changed their name. It was originally Hebrewburg Money Grabber.
Peter quickly jumps on board with the new family heritage, throwing himself into a wildly stereotyped portrayal of a Jewish man, complete with a Hebrew name that's, well, let's just say it's aggressively throat-clearing.
Shalom, Jews! From now on, I want you to use my Hebrew name.
Oh no. They even start socializing with the local Jewish community, clearly clueless about the fact that they're getting banned from every synagogue in a 5-mile radius.
Check it out, I'm one of you guys now, huh? I'm Jewish, yeah, Holocaust, we're number one.
It's all fun and games until Peter wakes up one night to see his father's ghost give him a good old reminder that he's a Catholic, and being a Jewish means tainting his family's name. Afraid of his father's ghost may come back to haunt him, or worse, watch him like a creep whenever he's doing something. Peter goes full anti-Semite. Seriously, like he's read the Mein Kampf in a single night or something.
Peter, what the hell?
Lois, last night my father came to me and reminded me that I'm a good Catholic.
Peter's new mission is to purge the Jewish influence from his home, starting with Lois, whom he's disturbingly ready to crucify in his attempts. His wife's well-being? Barely a consideration. Yikes.
What the hell?
How do you like it, huh? How do you like it?
Sign those papers, Lois. Save yourself. Peter isn't stopping there, though. Seems like he just got done watching Schindler's List, and there's a particular scene that inspired him to straight up shoot his wife.
What the hell? Are you out of your mind?
Taking advice from her mother not to let Peter suppress her identity, like her own husband did to her, Lois decides to hold a Passover Seder, which Peter tries to ruin so he can celebrate Easter. He shows up in an Easter bunny costume while drunk.
I'm a Catholic and I want to live in a Catholic house.
Well, I'm a Jew and I want to live in a nicer house.
The episode wraps up with a religious showdown that's less about faith and more about Peter's lack of respect for his wife's beliefs. A giant red flag, if there ever was one. Lois might want to consider an exit plan because Peter's antics make it clear that, for him, love sometimes comes second to being right. Sweeping the number 2 spot on our countdown is that episode where Lois finally gets to see her dream of having a restaurant come to fruition, only to have it all come burning down by Peter's intolerance and irresponsibility. The episode starts off with Peter using his only suit to ward off a specific Jewish visitor that he's not exactly a fan of. The suit goes on a scarecrow who looks scary enough to scare off any Jewish person who comes across it.
Lois, I'm tired of Mort always mooching off us, so I made a scared Jew.
His plan does work, but at the expense of his suit, which pisses Lois off because she has to get him a new one now. And so they find themselves in a thrift store because Lois knows spending money on Peter is money wasted, especially when he finds flannel pajamas, which he's willing to get at any cost.
Sir, here is a check with my name on it. Write down any number on this piece of paper and I will pay it.
Pajamas acquired. Peter decides they're his new 24/7 attire. It goes from bad to worse when he realizes carpets can give him the superpower to shock anyone he wants. Although he does take his sweet time figuring that out.
Oh my God! Lois, don't get alarmed, but I think I might be Jesus. I'm Jesus.
Donning on his cape and calling himself the Electric Man, Peter makes it his mission to annoy every single person in the house with his shocking attitude. Get it? I'm pretty sure Lois must be regretting her decision to carpet every inch of the house right about now, and that's exactly what she reverts back the moment she realizes Peter isn't going to stop.
Peter, I've had it with all your shocking. Since you won't get rid of those pajamas, I'm getting rid of the carpets.
Under one of those carpets lies the key to their new restaurant. Well, not exactly a key, it's a ship token that's apparently worth more than an NFT these days. And so Lois and Peter decide to open their own restaurant, which I'm hoping doesn't have their signature cupcakes that led to the downfall of their previous one.
I hope these taste as good as they look.
Gerald!
Fast forward and they open Big Pete's House of Munch, which should be named House of Horrors, especially since we find out that they've employed a literal child as their cook, who does not take shit from anybody.
Oh, did he now? Let me take care of that for him. Tell him bon appetit, douchebag.
The Griffin's business has a shaky start until Joe promises to bring his friends to the restaurant. Peter is at first excited at the thought of his restaurant becoming the hangout for police officers, but that excitement vanishes when Peter finds out about the army of wheelchairs that Joe is about to bring with him.
Whoa, Joe! I thought you were bringing your cop friends over. What are all these parallelograms doing here?
Oh no, this new clientele is enough to make Peter want to shut down the whole restaurant. He has no regard for Lois's passion or success. All that matters is his petty grudge.
Lois, this is insanity. I think we should shut down the restaurant.
But why? We're doing so well.
Ignoring Lois's protests, he institutes a no-handicapped customers policy, ending his friendship with Joe, who refuses to let Peter discriminate so freely. The cripples aren't going down without a fight, and so enters Crippletron, the crossover between a transformer and an army of cripples.
Very well, Peter, you leave us no choice. Men, form up Crippletron!
The fight ends with Crippletron's dramatic collapse onto Peter, breaking his leg, a fitting end to his discrimination. But despite her success, Lois has to abandon her dream, all because Peter couldn't put his petty intolerance aside for her sake. This episode perfectly captures Peter's disregard for anyone else's dream, even those of his own wife. Taking the #1 spot on our list is the time when Peter's idea of bonding with his son is torturing his wife and setting up a bad example for Stewie, who doesn't have much room left to be influenced. If we're being honest, the kid straight up wants to murder her already. It all begins with Lois getting a concerned call from Stewie's teacher, who finds his drawings alarming, to say the least.
Mrs. Griffin, let me show you some pictures he drew in class. Notice anything unusual?
I sure do. His father's not in any of them.
That's all you notice, Lois? Really? Anyways, concerned that Stewie isn't spending enough time with Peter, she pushes him to bond with his son. Peter, with his usual enthusiasm, sets up a box fort for Stewie, only to make it his own fort and crown himself king.
Okay, you could make a box fort. See, here's a box. You can pretend it's a fort. Actually, that sounds like fun. I want this. I'm king in here.
His ideas of bonding with his son are certainly wild, especially the one where he takes him to a bar, of all places, and puts him in the company of none other than Quagmire and his raunchy escapades, but it all reaches a dark territory when he takes him somewhere even worse.
Peter, did you take Stewie to a strip club? He smells like sweat and fear.
And then things go even darker. Peter discovers Stewie enjoys watching him torment Lois, and he's only too happy to oblige, turning family bonding into a prank campaign against his own wife. Lois eventually makes it back to the house in one piece. Don't ask me how, but it happened, okay? And she does not look like she appreciated the prank at all.
Peter, when I said bond with Stewie. This is not what I had in mind. I am furious with you.
When Lois comes back and orders Stewie sent to his room, Peter backs Lois up, making Stewie feel betrayed.
Hey, Stewie, you got a minute for your daddy?
Get out of here, you spineless oaf!
To make amends, Peter takes Stewie to Disney World in Florida, which is where every kid gets to feel like he's in a dream, or at least someone's dream, even Michael Jackson's.
Wow! It looks like Michael Jackson's coming right at me!
Stewie wanders off and then is captured by the security guards and put into It's a Tiny, Tiny World, an attraction where they make him sing or else...
You must sing! If you don't, they'll make you do a Christmas movie with Tim Allen!
Peter ends up going to the attraction where he finds Stewie and the other children and saves them. They're chased by the guards, but Peter knows just what exactly he needs to say to distract them.
Hey, look over there! There's a woman learning!
In the end, Peter and Stewie embrace. With Stewie's faith in his father somehow restored, the two return home with their bond stronger than ever. Just don't ask how much therapy Stewie will need later on.
What the hell? I love you too, buddy. Come on, Stewie. Let's go home.